Welcome back to Uptown Films. This is a podcast for filmmakers in Washington Heights, Inwood, Harlem, Bronx, Yonkers, Mount Vernon. And today we're joined by Adrian Miranda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. How are you?
Yeah.
I'm great.
Nice.
So we spoke of Washington Heights. My first question is, what is your connection to Washington Heights?
Oh, I was born and raised there. So I don't know what else you want to know, but I grew up there.
Give us the long and short of it.
So my mommy met my daddy, and they did, stuff. They had coffee, and then I was born, and the rest is history. You know how that goes. Coffee, right? Yeah, I was born and raised. I grew up in the '90s in Washington Heights, on the other side of Broadway, not the Lin-Manuel Miranda side.
Specify that for those who don't know.
Not the there's across Broadway was the east. See, I'm a Manhattanite. When we talk about east, west, north, south, I have no idea what you're talking about. Meet me on the south side of the street. I'm like, I have to look at my phone.
Meet me at the northwest exit on that corner of this block.
So that was the heights I grew up in. Violence and loud music till 5 a.m. on a Tuesday night. Drugs in my building. I had to. There's a famous kind of speech by Michelle Obama talking about, kids don't have to cross the street to get out of the way to get home from gangs and stuff like that. So that was me, man. I didn't really have friends. My dad didn't really let me go out and play. He passed away when I was 12. And then I went outside and started playing basketball on the streets and started seeing the things he was trying to protect me from. But ultimately, that was the Washington Heights I grew up in. And so TV, I grew up with the, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Family Matters, the telenovelas, even the news. I was that little 7-year-old boy between my parents watching the news. The wildness of Univision, Telemundo news. It was just wild. So I was that kid, and it was someone told me later on, it was that was escapism for me, because I was small, I was little, I was kind of shy and scared, and couldn't really go outside and play. I wasn't really allowed to. And so TV for me and movies were it. My dad loved Eddie Murphy. So Coming to America, I remember seeing I was like, don't watch it.
It's the best Eddie Murphy movie. Right? Coming to America is the best Eddie Murphy movie.
And the stands would be like, go away. And I'd listen kind of in the corner, and I wouldn't be able to watch, and they'd be like, all right, come on. So it was like, I always just loved it. So my thing was watching BET, VH1, MTV music videos.
Back in the day when MTV showed music.
Back when MTV played music videos, right? So I've always been kind of an early bird. So I'd wake up before the rest of my family and watch MTV. And
how early did you get up?
When I was a kid, 6. Yeah, that's 6 a.m. But I was quiet. I would just kind of go and do my thing and watch TV until I knew everyone would wake up. And then they'd watch their muñequitos and their cartoons and watch whatever else that they wanted. My brother would watch Star Trek. I'm like, oh gosh.
Was it?
Yes. Live Long and Prosper. Yeah, that one. And so I'm a Star Trek fan and Star Wars, and I don't really like them at all. But I watched them with him because I had to. He was my big brother. He was much bigger than me.
Yeah, he's going to be osmosis.
The osmosis, exactly.
But I can attest to that as well. I grew up, I'm from the Bronx, but I grew up in Washington Heights.
Okay.
Seeing that environment, 175th between Amsterdam and Audubon. Basically, if you've seen Into the Heights, that backdrop, I went to Incarnation School, K through, K through 8. And I just remember having to, certain times, if I go into a certain building or visit a friend, I have to navigate in a certain way. I need to be careful. And I'm the only child, won the lottery. I have 2 parents, and they sheltered me. They tried to protect me. So I definitely understand that with escapism. But I wanted to ask, you're from the Heights. It's great to have somebody from the Heights on this podcast.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're a multifaceted multimedia creator, artist, filmmaker. Tell me, what does it mean to be a filmmaker, somebody who makes films and acts in his own films from Washington Heights?
Well, great question, because I'm trying to figure that out as well. Right. So, for example, I'm on Actors Access, and I got a self-submission short list on. What was it? It was Remitly, I think, is the money transfer thing, and it was playing a Guatemalan uncle playing que saben de reggaeton. That's the only line, and I was about to submit. It was it'd take me 20 minutes, right? Yeah. You think submission tapes take 20 minutes? They don't. Even if it's 3 lines, you have to set up the camera. Did you do it right? Watch yourself. It got out of focus. You go back, the lights, and then you have to edit a little, trim it, and then you have to submit it, and it's not fast at all. And So I kind of even asked my other friend who's an actor and she has an agent. I was like, I don't really want to do this, but it's like $500 for one line, and then I didn't really do it. So the question we talked about was like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a filmmaker or an actor or both? Wow. And if you'd asked me maybe last year, I kind of aspire to be like a Tyler Perry, being kind of a director, creator, and actor.
Yeah.
I do love performing. I'll give you that. Like I love, being on stage and screen, mostly screen is my passion. And just like when I got here, right? Y'all were like, can you move the microphone? I was like, yeah, listen, I'm the guest. Like y'all, only also because I don't want to mess it up, right? So like, I don't want to do anything, even though I know the stuff, I really got their own thing. And it's nice to like step back as well.
Yeah. Right.
Like I just came up with a script on the way, on the train this morning by the chess kids in a chess match, and so then I'm thinking like I have to choreograph this dance number, I have to rehearse on this song that we're gonna do, and I have to edit these 5 films that we did last week in the past 2 months. So there's so many hats, and so there's something about performing where I can focus fully on my character, my lines, my presentation, my performance, and not have to worry about anything else. But it's also hard to take off your hat to be like, hey, that camera over there is like over the shoulders.
Yeah. You don't have any eyes, man. Yeah.
Right. So like, it's hard to kind of not do it, but it's when I've done that, it feels amazing to just like the first time I realized how much I love performing, I was in Bernardo in West Side Story at a community theater in Brooklyn called the Heights Players. And I was one of the leads, right? And I just get to go in, do my stuff, not in the dance ensembles. I get to do my lines, fight, sing, act, dance. And then second act, I'm just chilling in the dressing room. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. But like when I was ensemble, it'd be like I have to learn the harmonies and I have to do the dance. I move props, I move things. And I was like, oh, I like being
so you have the theatrical background and also in front of the camera.
Right. So I love performing. The filmmaking is this. You look at me, where am I from?
Washington Heights.
Ethnicity-wise and race-wise.
Want to take a guess?
Latin American man.
No, shrug shoulders. You don't know. Taking a while to think, right?
I would say
right. So I'm ambiguous. I'm my dad's Afro-Latino from Colombia, Afro-Colombian, my own small Salvador. Right.
I was gonna guess Honduras.
Name a country from Mexico all the way down to not Argentina, but everything north of Argentina.
Yeah, definitely not Argentina.
Right? And then you can go to like India and Pakistan and like be like, oh, maybe he's an Indian boy, right? So my roles are difficult to find. I'm like a Bruno Mars in The Rock. It's really hard to kind of fit in to any one of those things, and so that's why filmmaking for me is exciting because I can make my own characters.
Yeah.
We're doing the Mission Impossible sketch and I'm Ethan Hunt. Like, bro, would you ever cast me as Ethan Hunt in Hollywood? Probably not, right? And so I'm not white, I'm not black, I'm not, you're kind of like, where are you from, right? So that's where I can't really commit to being an actor if I want to get to the level I want to be. I kind of have to create my own niche and my own style, my own voice. Yeah. So that's where the filmmaking comes in. It's almost like you have to do it. It's like, what do you do to pay the bills? You have to do this, but then you have a passion project, right? Yeah. So for me, I feel like I have to create my own voice with what I've been giving, which is not a blessing or a curse. I used to hate it. I used to everything about the way I looked. Because I looked at my dad or my mom, didn't look like the kids in school, didn't look like my Dominican friends either. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like, I'm stuck in the middle, And so that's kind of been the story of my life. Like, I don't really fit a particular kind of box. And I've just had to kind of deal with that. So to answer your question, if I were to be given a choice, I would just perform and act.
Okay.
All right.
That actually kind of reminds me. I don't know if you've seen this, but Vin Diesel, when he was like a struggling actor, did like a short 20, 30 minute. And it was,
I think it was a feature even. It was,
it was a feature.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, maybe I've only seen 20, 30 minute snippet of it, but, he's dealing with exactly that. Like he's getting cast for black roles. He's not a black man. He's getting cast for, Puerto Rican roles. He's not Puerto Rican. He's getting cast for like Italian and like, has to be like super Italian and, all, so, I was just wondering if like you had seen that or if like, that's kind of a similar lane you're trying to go, it sounds like, is doing the filmmaking to pursue acting.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I Well, I would say there was I had a mission, right? And it was to like solve physical therapy, healthcare problems. I happen to love, TV and film.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I can act. And then lo and behold, the world kind of brought me to acting because I didn't study acting. I fell into all the arts. Like it was like you grew up in the Heights in the Bronx. Mm-hmm. It's like you go to school, you get a college education. Yeah. And you think that's the sport? Not even sports. I wasn't really even allowed to play sports. Like I would get on the soccer team. My dad would write a note because it's too late and too dangerous. He can't play in the. But I would try out and make the team to be like stroke my ego a little bit, And I wasn't the best athlete, to be honest with you. But I did play sports, and so when I got to college, it was like there was but I didn't want to get into martial arts, and the capoeira club wasn't there. It was a breakdance club, and so it was like I didn't want to leave and be out, be like, oh, never mind. I ended up staying. They became friends, and no joke, like I saw them perform in the dance company show, and I was like, guys dance? What? Yeah. By golly, I have no idea. I've been sheltered my whole life in Washington Heights. And then I fell into acting, and then I really fell into all these performance things. But to answer your question, it's like to create roles for myself. Yeah. That's really what it comes down to. And then I've kind of looked at different people who have that, someone calls it, I guess, ethnically ambiguous, right? Yeah. And, you got Prince, you got Derek Jeter. Wow. Jeter. From Boston or the Bronx. Anyways, for Derek Jeter.
Tiger Woods. I was like, what is it?
Bingo, right? Exactly. Mariah Carey. So those are the kind of the things where I'm like, all right, there is a place for me. It's just I have to create it for myself. Yeah. So I'm really good at something, but I don't have that luxury to be good at one thing. I don't, So when I go into a place, you need help with that camera and change something's wonky. I'll change your ISO for you. I'll change the color log. So it's a value that kind of bumps up every aspect. It gives me a little bit more value. So I don't have that luxury to focus on one thing.
Right.
Because when you look at me, you're not like, oh, he's definitely from Iran. He's definitely from, you definitely make me like, he's Colombian or Salvadorian. So I don't have that luxury of kind of being able to fit something.
But my thing then with that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
It's funny because like you had mentioned also physical therapy, and it's interesting to see you take that passion and combine it with, the creative, and makes me think about your show, Gross Anatomy. So what led to like the genesis of that?
Yes, thank you. Okay, so here's the story. So I was in physical therapy school, and I won't lie, I had a lot of trouble learning. Like I almost got kicked. My GPA was not great. And then something struck. I
feel you.
Yeah.
I was a poli-sci major. Okay. And
you know what it is I realized
it was a journey.
I realized I'm not a good auditory processor. I'm a kinesthetic and a visual learner. So I could read stuff and that's why I could read lines and know lines like really quickly.
Right.
But if you told me like instructions to get to the train right now, I'd be like, what do you turn left or right?
North here and mix up.
Yeah. So that's, I'm much better now. I had to kind of work at it. But the story is that I was in, class one day, my final year of grad school, and I walk into the student union where I'll kind of have lunch and hang out.
Yeah.
And it was almost like a dream sequence. I kind of stopped, and everybody's kind of walking past me. And I said, oh, what we do is just education. I got to put this on TV, and I got to be on TV. And I continued. And that was it. And then I just spent like the next 5 years like really focused on being a really good clinician. So I did a residency, I started a PhD, I got all but dissertation, studied with as many people as I could. I treated everybody, like anybody I could. If you had a shoulder problem, I'd be like, hey, let me see your shoulder. So like in 5 years, I really sped up my clinical education, my experience, because I was obsessed. Because I wanted to be the next Bill Nye the Science Guy, but better. So it was like combining Scrubs with Bill Nye the Science Guy and Grey's Anatomy. Because Grey's Anatomy was like just coming out.
Right.
But I realized I did a lot of stuff. I learned production at Brick Arts Media. Yeah. Y'all familiar with that? Yeah, in Brooklyn. And I got brought on as an ACL expert in the daytime live TV show. And I remember I was all dressed up. I had a sweater and a tie and the glasses. I looked good. I looked like a professional. No joke. As soon as that light came on, and this is a fishbowl studio, like Good Morning America. Right. Light came on. I was like, I can't do this. This is not me.
Oh, damn.
I was like, this is not me. Wow. And then after that, you know, I got through it and stuff like that. And afterwards, I started doing theater, and I was like, this is where I want to be.
Nice.
So the next step was, how do I combine narrative, right, character development, plot, with how to teach you about your shoulder. Right. So that if I teach you about your shoulder, you'll know exactly what I did and spend six figures in student loan debt to do on your own. And then your kid could also know how to do it. Yeah. And you don't have to go to the doctor unless it's really bad. Like you break your arm in 7 places. Right. So of course there are times for it, but I found that there's a lot of preventative things we could have done as a profession with what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I said, if I can put it on TV, I can reach millions of people. If I have a clinic, I might reach 1 million people. But with television, franchise, and IP, I could reach like crazy amounts of people. So that was my goal.
That's awesome.
And that was it. And it took a while. Like no joke. I mean, I took courses at Brick, but then I also studied like film courage and film riot and learned everything, VFX, motion graphics,
stuff,
sound design, you know, obviously camera operation, cinematography, and then writing as well. Like I would understand about Save the Cat, you know, the 3-act structure and editing for narrative film, because that was my passion. I did the documentary first, was my very first thing. And I'm like, look back and I put it on LinkedIn. So if you look like last year, I posted it and I was like, that was only like 6 months of learning video production. I was like, I'm impressed. Like I had someone like asking questions on the street. Yeah. But so to answer your question, it was a moment where I was like, all the stuff that we do in the clinic as a student that I was learning was like, it's just education, like how to move your body better, exercise to do, things to be aware of. And I wanted to make it more accessible to people. Yeah. Now, the background before that was when I was, I think, 10, my mom had a hip replacement. She must have been like 40 years, pretty young considering.
Wow.
And my mom,
very young.
We didn't know what physical therapy was. And I remember this, my mom, we were left with our grandmother, and my mom and dad come home and I kind of heard them say, oh, we can't afford that. And it was her first post-op visit with PT.
It's expensive.
And that was like the rationale of like, a lot of people can't afford their physical therapy. It's a luxury. It's like $50 copays.
Yeah.
So what if I could do something that's really mass market and educate people? So if you can't afford your insurance, or you don't have insurance, or you can't even afford the copays, you could watch this show without needing to. You watch this fun series, season 1, all of a sudden like next year, 5 years away, you're like, we have to have a hip replacement? Oh, I remember the episode about that.
Right.
Doing
hip
silly things. Exactly. So that was the genesis. And it was like, I had to dig in. It was people ask me questions like this or being interviewed. I was like, why did I want to make a TV show? It was because I saw my parents unable to afford post-operative care.
That's real. Yeah. I have a bad back, so I've had to go see chiropractors in the past, but cannot continue that because it's so expensive. And they actually, a practice I used to go to puts like educational, you know, clips on YouTube, whatever, but it's just like, do this for 5, you know, reps, 10 times, 10 sets.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. And so I love the idea of like, because I'm not going to sit there and watch a 30-minute video. Honestly, like I have things I need to do. But if you make it entertaining and engaging, I'm going to sit and watch and probably pick something up that's valuable.
Right.
But that's to get to the question of, you mentioned Bill Nye. So I wanted to ask like if educational TV was a big part of your childhood or just growing up, because it feels like now it's not necessarily a ton of educational. I mean, there's still like Sesame Street is still ongoing. But it feels like the like Paw Patrol type shows are like teaching kids that cops are good and should surveil you. So it's interesting.
Well, it's just different platforms, right? So if you go to YouTube, you'd be like Miss Rachel and you see all these other kind of things. So it's still there. It's you know, Science Gal is another one that she had a Netflix show and then they canceled it. So it's out there, it's just on a different platform. You're not a target audience.
I was going to say, I don't have a child, so I wouldn't see that. Yeah, so that's fair.
Exactly. So part of it is, you know, Magic School Bus. Schoolhouse, Schoolhouse Rock,
Rainbow. Like so many.
Right. So there was that influence, but Bill Nye was just kind of quirky and weird and like throwing things and making. If you look back, there's like a volcano episode, and the parents and like little like 10-year-old boy, they're like making like sexual innuendos, like, oh, you're making my lava warm, and you're just like. I was watching this at 8, 9 years old.
There's so many things.
How weird is that? How cringe is that?
Cartoons,
so yeah, that was a big influence, but I didn't want to be Bill Nye. Remember, he's a white dude, tall white dude. You know, I'm not a comedian. Like I do comedy, but I'm not a stand-up person. I'm not an improv person.
Right.
I'm definitely a comedian, like an actor who can do comedy. Yeah. Right. And so for me, it was just not quite where I fit in. I appreciate I was very influenced by, I mean, we all love Bill Nye. Right. I mean, let's not debate that. Yeah. So that was a big influence on me in school, Schoolhouse Rock, of course, right? The music. So for me, the music was influential for that part. It was like, Animaniacs, right?
Yeah.
So those are all big influences that you think about now. It's like you think they're not around. They're just around differently,
right?
But they're not the same. There's definitely a little bit more like PG-13 or like general audience.
Yeah. Also, you kind of like fall out of just like, I guess the cycle of like this stuff. Like there are like kid shows on that. It's like I didn't even know that existed because I'm just you get older, you just you chase change, but then again, you always like stumble on these things, and there are people who gravitate towards something that's like, even though it may be made for kids, it could work well. But it's really interesting. Bluey's
a great example right now. There are adult fan pages for Bluey.
That's crazy. Wow.
No joke. And it's so that's exactly kind of
that's awesome.
Like an example I have currently. So like to answer what we're talking about is like it's current. It's just not your target audience. Yeah, but you would probably I can't stop watching when I'm studying like Bluey. And how they write it and the music and all the way they wrote it. Yeah. Because I do study Bluey, but believe it or not, you would be fascinated.
I like that accent.
Am I preparing for a role?
Oh, man. Yeah. Like I got a gun in a holster
like a De Niro, like a Leonardo DiCaprio, like Scorsese, like Italian Job movie. Oh, anyways, so. So that's kind of the idea is like Bluey. How do I address? And for me, it was a business sense too. It's like it was a business tactic. It's like if I can get you when you have kids and your parents as well who are taking care of your kids, and I can have co-viewing.
That's called. The thing.
That was my like main thing. Like, how can I get you and your 12-year-old? And it kind of worked. Like on LinkedIn, I get messages for my old kind of anatomy sketches. Like me and my 50-year-old, this guy was like a CEO and 50 years old. Me and my daughter who's 12 watched your a karate anatomy video where
I watched the 10
punch him in the nuts.
Yeah. I was like, I could totally see myself watching this in 10 years with my kid. You know?
And so he was like, me and your daughter really love your stuff. We watch it together. And you should keep making it. And I was like, oh, I did it. And then it's not the only one,
Awesome.
One of my actors on the web series Girls Town was doing lines, and her son at the time, I think, was 12, and they were on a flight from Florida. He was supposed to help her with lines. He ended up like watching all my like YouTube sketches.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was a moment where I was like, I'm doing it. Obviously not the speed I'd like to, but like co-viewing is so difficult.
Yeah.
Because I have to give you a joke that you can relate to.
It's a fine line.
They don't understand because they're too young, but you still like it's kind of touching rated R, and then the kids likes the wildness of it, the spectacle of it all, right?
Yeah.
So that was part of the education that I did. Watching, I remember there was a year I was just watching tons of Netflix. Like good, bad, ugly movies, cartoons, like as much as I could. YouTubers also who were like do you know Film Riot?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so like I would study Film Riot. I would do their things, right? I learned the VFX and all those things, but then to watch how they edited it and how the cold open for them was a sketch, right? It was a sketch like they blow you up or something like that. And then they go back and show you how to do it. Then they kind of show you like behind the scenes, something like that. So, the co-viewing is the most challenging thing that I found, but it's kind of like slowly have these little kind of like, it's working. It's working. Like, oh my gosh, this 50-year-old and this 10-year-old are watching it. The 60-year-old and this 20-year-old, So so Bluey's a great example for, I think, any filmmaker that wants a general audience. Because you're getting people who are in their 50s to watch cartoons for hours with their kids. I
wanted to ask kind of like last question for IG, then we can cut it. Being good at so many different things.
That's very kind of you.
Well,
very kind of you. Maybe satisfactory.
No, I'm not saying that to be facetious. I'm saying this.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're taking the time to become good at so many different disciplines within art, within physical health. But I have to ask, being kind of like a jack of all trades, how do you make that work? You're saying, I'm doing what I want to do. I haven't done it at the scale yet. Is this something where you're committing to continuing to go in that trajectory, working on so many different things? And not, I want to rephrase that. Not working on so many different things, working in so many different roles. You found this is how you're going to continue and find success, or is this, hey, I'm going to continue to go until let me see which of these roles actually garners the, as you were saying, the success that you want.
You're watching Uptown Films, so keep watching Films Uptown.
Hey there, I'm Nicole Tay, and you're watching Uptown Films.
Hi, my name is Sean Senavrotny, and you are listening to the Uptown Films podcast.
Hi, this is Alvaro Franco, and keep making films Uptown, and please keep showing Uptown some love.
Hi, my name is Zayn Lindsay, and you're watching Uptown Films.
Hey, this is Christopher Hall. Thanks so much for listening to the Uptown Films podcast.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, thank you for that question. So I already have the vision. I know what I'm going to do. So
Nice.
The idea is we're a group, right? If you look at one of the clips I sent you yesterday, one of the actors has never acted before, ever.
Wow.
And so the other actor trying to make it in the business, great actor. So the way I see it is there's a pipeline or for workforce development, right?
Yeah.
So if I had enough funds, for example, to hire Green Canvas Productions or Uptown Films,
Right.
I would also have somebody as an assistant director who's never been an assistant director before, and you show them, or they watch you closely, right? And then in the next shoot, they have enough confidence to actually be a director, right? So this morning, somebody's only directed like commercial shoots and promos, and they're going to direct a narrative with 2 kids, 2 preteens. So
That's awesome. Yeah.
what do you say? No, you're not ready for it, or do you say just do it, and I'll be right next to you to help, right?
That's how you learn.
That's how you learn. And so the idea is the scalability factor is because I took so much time to learn all these skills, I kind of know how to partner people up. And I also know if you're really interested, you're going to learn it.
Yeah.
If you really, and it's fun on set. No one's like to be on set. Like it's like someone called it summer camp. Like it's a blast. I don't like editing and the promotions and the marketing.
I was going to say
everything else is like is the best.
That's interesting. It's that kinesthetic learning, like you mentioned.
Yeah, just do it, right?
Yeah.
And like for example, even right now, I think about taking like an acting class.
Yeah.
But I'd rather just do it or be an actor and challenge myself in roles than also, spend the money, which don't get me wrong, like it's beneficial for a lot of people. And I kind of would if I had a little bit more money. But I look at my weaknesses or the things, not weaknesses now, but the things I have to kind of continue to kind of like practice, which is like dance and voice, right? Yeah. And that's for me as a performer. So I want to put people in roles that I don't have to do it anymore, But perhaps with Gross Anatomy Studios, there's like a systematic formula that we know how every production is created. If it's a microfilm, if it's a short film, it's a feature length film, it's a series, everybody kind of knows there's a system and a process. And if there's somebody who's leaving because they got a big job in LA or Toronto or something like that, then there's already somebody in place who wants to learn that or has already shadowed them or watched it or been mentored, and they can move in. So for me, it's almost like I'd rather be kind of the talent that can promote things, know? But I do not like, I enjoy directing. I think it's cool. I do like directing. I think if there was like a secondary role to do in filmmaking, it's directing.
Maybe it'd be more along the lines of a creative producer. So you're more working.
What's your definition for that?
Essentially, you're not tied to let's say, the entirety of the vision, but you're working with the folks who are making the vision. You're supplementing. You're involved in all aspects, but that allows you to have, let's say, greater flexibility. You're working with actors, you're working with the director, you're working with the associate producers. You're making sure you have greater control in some sense, but not all of the responsibility. So it affords you the flexibility, if that makes sense.
No, I think director. Yeah, okay. Director, so work with the talent and the camera and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Manage the blocking, the staging. That would be, what's the movie with Chris Hemsworth, I think. Chris Hemsworth. Extraction.
Yeah.
So the director is a DP and the stunt person.
Right. Yes.
So I mean, some of those one-shot takes
the one is
through
crazy.
the car.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where but that's a director kind of, that's a director role. You just happen to have these other parts. I like when other people take things. Like I pitched the music studio Rocks that we did on Saturday last week.
I was about to say, if you could talk more about what you did recently.
Yeah. So Rocks is, my buddy Jairo Martinez owns Soundproof Studios in Washington Heights. He was the engineer for like some tracks that I wrote for my musical.
Yeah. Cool.
My live action, what do you call it now? Real person, in person live theater
action.
musical, and the music for the web series, the musical episode in the web series. And I was like, yo, can we use your music studio? He's like, sure. And I was like, do you want to act in it? He's like, sure. So I knew that Jairo was going to let us use the studio, and I said, Tap and Junie are actors I just met recently. We're part of the Uptown actors. And I was like, hey, we have a music studio. Do you want to write something? They're like, yeah. And then they sent me back the script, and I kind of told them about, it's okay to have these monologues, but they're a little bit too long. And it's just dialogue. We got to have that a little bit more kind of moving. So I helped them with the script, but in the future, I wouldn't even touch it. No. All I would say, we don't have the budget for that or that. I wouldn't even say that. I would have a producer do that,
Yeah.
So then I kind of read the final things and get on set and do the directing. So that's an idea. And that one I was a director and DP and producer. But yeah, so anyways, they wrote it about a label executive or a producer, probably an executive producer with the engineer, and this musician is just kind of like done. Like they're like aged out, I think. And they're just struggling to lay down this track. And then the music producer is just trying to coach them, and then pulls out the fact that, music is the only thing they had, a bad childhood, that kind of story. And eventually the artist kind of comes through and lays down the track differently, than what the producer wanted, but the producer let him kind of do it. So it was live music. So he played the guitar. Cool. I wrote the music. Very cool. And I sent it to Tap, and I was like, here, do whatever you want, but this is the music. And so he arranged it a little bit differently to his voice. And yeah, we did it, and we shot that.
It's beautiful.
So it was cool.
This is Uptown Actors.
Yeah, Uptown. I just call it Uptown Actors.
I like it.
Yeah, and the idea is the rules for the guidelines.
Let's promote Uptown Actors.
Yeah, so Uptown.
Awesome.
The idea is to film in north of 125th Street.
Yes,
love that.
Podcast north of 125th Street.
Right.
Come on.
Hell yeah.
You're welcome. This is where you plug in the name of your podcast.
Yes.
Uptown Films Podcast. Uptown Films
what are we here
Podcast.
for?
Just ties in.
Uptown Actors, Uptown Films.
Perfect.
Eddie,
So
since you were talking about, sorry.
I love how everyone was like trying to say Uptown.
Uptown.
At the chance to promote it. Yeah. So what's your question?
What was it? Like you mentioned directing, like any like favorite, like even though you're more into acting, like you do enjoy directing a lot. Like any like favorite like filmmakers or any favorite films? Like
Tarantino, Scorsese, Tyler Perry. Yeah, I think those are my. I don't know who directed Gangs of New York.
Oh, Scorsese. That's
There you go.
I already got him.
That's why I talk the way I do.
What about the Steven Soderbergh, the Nick? He directs, but he also takes the camera and does some great.
He edits.
That's something you just. I feel like you're in a position where you're going is not saying I don't want to say greater control, but you're involved more. That
Only because I have to, though.
But I'm saying have to. But
Only
I think you're gonna. It feels like to me that you will continue in this trajectory to make it work. That's what you will be known as, not just an artist, creator, but director, actor. It's just I don't know what term.
Yeah, it's a lot of hyphens.
I was saying I don't know what term to call
creative.
it, but I guess creative. But just like,
and that could be like you said, like there's a niche there, right? Like I fight choreograph some of our scenes,
sweet.
So
that's awesome.
A lot of the stuff, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Again, like I told you, like the example of like I don't fit something, so I kind of have to create something, right? Create my own lane and hopefully help bring people along with it.
And I was just saying earlier, my concern was if you're doing so much, which of those will go? But in this case, you've answered it eloquently. No, it doesn't matter because this is the lane that you're creating. So
yeah. So go ahead.
No, sorry. I just wanted to ask kind of about that empowerment of others. If that was a conscious plan or decision because of your experience in the industry, trying to get roles and trying to, find a lane for yourself, or if that just kind of happened naturally and you're like, oh, this is awesome.
A little bit of both, to be honest. Yeah. Well, all right, think about it. If you have a casting, if you have a casting crew of 100 people, 100 people know at least 2 people. And so you're going to at least get 200 people to watch that movie, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the numbers are way greater than that. But if you have 2 people and a cast of crew of 10 and they each have 2 friends, right? So like you're limiting yourself a little bit. So the idea is like if I can have more director fight choreographers, I have more director musicians, more directors, more music, I can help people create more stories, right? So that was it. And then the natural part was like, I like people.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up, I'm a family I have 3 other siblings. My house was always full with like a tia, abuela, primos. Like it was just like a zoo with 1 bathroom. You're watching, there's 1 bathroom for a minimum of 6 people. A minimum of 6 people at one time, right? 1 bathroom. So yeah, I do. I enjoy it. I'm just, you know, kind of a social person. I'm one of those like, you know, can be extroverted. Definitely has to be introverted at times. I was much shyer as a kid. And I think the stage and performing was something that was laid on me. Again, it wasn't even natural. Like I could dance naturally. That was kind of something. So the sort of dancing was like by junior year of high school, I was bored. So I put on the Michael Jackson VHS, my MTV 1993 performance, and I just copied it and I could do it. And I was like, I'm doing this really like, it's like really well.
Were you in front of the mirror?
I was literally going to say, I can picture you like.
Like doing kind of like the hits. Yeah. So, and I was like, I can do that. And so I did like, at the summer camp, there was a talent show and then me and like a bunch of other like people went on stage and I flicked my hat and everyone went nuts. My freshman year of college, I won like this like freshman housing talent pageant show.
That's awesome.
Doing my Michael Jackson routine.
That's awesome.
And so that came kind of naturally, even though it wasn't like, I was not a competitive athlete. I could play ball. Like I could play with you.
Right.
But as soon as we went to like organized ball, I mean, I just choked. Like, I didn't want to beat you. I was like, here, take the ball. But on the playground, I would. But yeah, right. But on the playground, I would, you know, I would embarrass you. So it was just, I would just kind of clam up. I don't know, but when on stage, it was just like, I'm hungry for this. Like there was like a beast that came out performing wise.
That's awesome.
But it all kind of just happened. Even theater, I stumbled upon it. Right. So I did a play. I was supposed to join a breakdance crew in Brooklyn, and it came out to be a play. And I was like, I've never done that. Let me try that. I even walked by the place for the audition and kept walking because I was like, I'm not doing this. This is ridiculous. And the 2 people were smoking, like the manager smoking outside. Like, hey, are you here to audition? I was like, yes, I am.
And they're like, it's back that way.
Yeah, I was looking for it. And I got a role, so I have to admit this. So we're at callbacks, and I had a date, and it was like 11:30 p.m.
You double booked yourself?
I am.
Damn.
Well, it was a callback. I'd never done auditions ever. It was my first audition ever, and I had a date that I was like really excited about. And I got there at like 8 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock. So if you're watching this, I apologize. And I was like, hey, I have to go. I have an emergency at like 11 o'clock. Now, I'd been sitting for like 3 hours. And I went to my day. It was a late night day because she was a dancer. And I got a role. So I couldn't escape it. I tried to escape it twice. And I couldn't escape it. So then there was a musical. Yeah. There was a musical happening the next show. And I was like, I can dance. I'll do that. I became Phineas Rainbow, probably the most racist musical ever created. And I was one of the gospeliers, a quartet. I mean, these are a cappella singers, right? I'm not a singer. I'm tone deaf. Wow. And I get in, again, accidentally. Like, why am I in this singing? And there's a solo. And after that, I was embarrassed. And like one of the other actors was like, you work on your voice. And I was destroyed. So I took a year and I learned how to sing. And then I went back and I kind of, vindicated myself. Yeah. Like I became Bernardo, West Side Story, and sang Pinball Wizard and Tommy. Awesome. And then wrote music, right? So all this stuff just kind of happened. Like it wasn't even, like I was pursuing it fully. It just kind of kept happening.
I love it. Love it.
And so hopefully, like again, if I can help someone who's like shy about anything involved in what we do in filmmaking or stage or performance wise, if I can help kind of promote that and even as an actor, kind of portray characters that empower other people, or as an actor, inspire somebody else who wants to act.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so be it. But I do love, performing. That's my number one love. I enjoy directing, being around people and having that social aspect. So that's kind of where I, and of course there's other things that are going to come as a director that I'm positioned to help out better, then awesome. You know, there's a musical number. Like,
That's beautiful.
That's what we're doing probably next week, 2 weeks
Yeah.
from now. Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, man, where can we find you?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You can find me on Instagram at Gross Anatomy Studios. On LinkedIn, just look for my name, Adrian Miranda. Gross Anatomy Studios is also, there's a page on LinkedIn, although it's not too active. I'm personally active mostly on LinkedIn and lately on Instagram. YouTube at Gross Anatomy Studios, youtube.com/Gross Anatomy Studios. And I think those are most of my handles. My website's adrianmiranda.com now. My passion was to bring like the physical therapy and narrative together. Now I have to announce it's not just that anymore. So I'm just making films. And if there's some health topics, because there's just, you know, this therapeutic effect of filmmaking and films and watching films. So I realized I don't have to teach you about your shoulder. I might have to teach you about, you know, a powerful relationship that broke your heart. And then maybe there's a manifestation in your body about that hardship that you had. Yeah. You know, my big project, for example, is In the Heights, the movie parody. So I'm announcing it now.
All right.
So that one I will have like, you know, larger production. It'll be a short film. Yeah. And I'm going to put in all the health disparities that we grew up with. And
That's
still
awesome.
happen, you know,
That's
like
beautiful.
Abuela Claudia, I'll play Usnavi. This is actually my Usnavi shirt, actually.
Oh, okay.
And I'll be kind of running away from the cops, and Abuela catches me, and she's going to beat me, but then her blood sugar gets really low. And so we do a prick test, and then I give her leche, carnation milk.
Carnation milk, yeah.
And her blood sugar goes up, and she chases me again, beats me. You know, yeah. So I'm starting to put that stuff into my storytelling where it's not like this is even though I still was doing like narrative sketches, comedies about your back and knee and shoulder. Yeah. Now it's a little bit more macro. It's a little bit kind of a bigger thing because there's, you know, issues with, you know, pain with financial hardship, pain with emotional, mental health, physical health, you know, family issues. So there's so much more than just physical that I'm starting to kind of go in that route. And again, maybe I'm positioned with my healthcare background to make all sorts of different. We just shot a film on Monday about real life story about someone who got diagnosed with cancer at the age of 21, and people just ignored her because she was young. Yeah. And so we made a little mini film, and it's in editing right now, and we shot it in Washington Heights. That's awesome. Juan Pablo Duarte Foundation helped us, allowed us to film inside for like the doctor's office. Awesome. So again, like it's
funding and location they provided.
No, just location. Just location. Yeah, we're not funded yet.
Too quick.
If you have money, give me money. Me, so give other people.
Last two quick questions here, kind of like rapid fire. Favorite place to shoot in the Bronx? Sorry, in the Heights.
Well, it's funny you say Bronx because I was over here thinking about like some kind of like gangster like mob movie with all the graffiti.
Well, there's not the Penguin around here.
The Penguin. That's exactly what I was thinking about.
Nice.
I was thinking like, maybe one day we'll make a movie over here. That's exactly where my head was. Favorite place to shoot in the Heights? That's a good question. Honestly, there's so many great places. I really can't, give you one particular one. We shot right outside my building on 176th Street.
Oh, okay.
For the ending of the Healed movie, the cancer survivor movie, like right outside my building. There's a lot of green, a lot of trees. Actually, nowadays when we were kids, there wasn't that many trees. They were like dead. Now there's like tons of trees. Even in the winter, it just looks nice. But so what we're gonna do is I'm trying to think of what.
Oh wait, one last one.
Yeah.
And my very last one is: how do you feel about the movie theater that closed down years ago in Heights 181?
Oh, come on, build another one.
Yeah,
I know you're doing that here, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
I still went, man. It was gross, but we still went, and it's definitely needed. I go to the Lincoln Square movie theater now. Yeah. That's where I watch my movies. Yeah. Right off the and they have the IMAX there.
Yeah. I saw 7 there recently.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right. So, you rewatched it? Oh, man, that's awesome. Yeah, they should build it again. I walk by there all the time looking at them like, someone's going to do something with it. As a movie theater would be the best thing ever. I'd be so lazy. Yeah. I'd be like Netflix. No, I'm going to go to the movie theater on 181st.
Did you see Anthony Rojas's film, The Last Movie Theater in Washington Heights?
I did.
He played at the Inwood Film Festival. Shout out Inwood Film Festival.
That's right. Shout out Anthony Rojas. Yeah.
Wow.
But that's so funny because just last weekend I was walking by there and I was like, oh, what's going to happen here?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Problem.
So maybe what's the name of your Bronx Cinema?
Bronx Independent Cinema.
Bronx Independent Cinema.
Bronx Cinema on social media.
So when you open the first one, hopefully this year, you open up your second one at 181st.
It's going to take time, but we do have a space.
I'm just putting it out there this year.
I love it.
In May,
I
once
love
you
it.
finish, once you cut the
I
ribbon
love
in
it.
May,
Yeah.
cut the ribbon in May, come to the winning first.
Borough President, we were speaking today. We got a pitch here. This is stuff we can advocate for.
I'm putting
Let's
that out
go.
there. May, and then
We love
September, you open the
manifesting.
181st.
Bronx Week.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
But Adrian, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
very
much
much.
for a terrific conversation. We got this on IG Live, recorded it here, have it on video. Can't wait to get this out.
Thank you all. This is great.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.